Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive with us.
Yep.
Today we're going to be looking at something
Yeah,
that I think we all could use a little more of,
for sure.
and that is self-awareness.
Ooh, I like that one.
Our source this time,
Yeah?
Vitality Vibes. They called it the meta skill of the 21st century.
Bold statement.
It is bold.
Yeah,
So we had to take a look
we had to.
at their piece, selfawareness.txt, and figure out, why is this so important,
Right.
especially now?
Yeah. No, it's really interesting to think about it in the context of like the 21st century. I mean, think about how much information
Oh my God.
we're just bombarded with on a daily basis,
Yeah.
right? And choices
Yeah.
all the time. To have a strong sense of self can really be like having that internal compass to kind of navigate it all.
Okay, so let's back up for a sec.
Yeah.
For anyone who maybe isn't as familiar,
Yeah.
can we break down what exactly even is self-awareness?
Yeah.
Because it sounds kind of like
It does.
simple and straightforward.
Yeah.
But is it more than just doing what you like and dislike?
Yeah, definitely. I think it goes beyond those kind of surface preferences.
Mhm.
It's really about understanding yourself on multiple levels.
Mhm.
So, not just what are your favorite foods, but like what are your emotions?
Okay.
What motivates you? What are your strengths and weaknesses?
Interesting.
Even how other people perceive you.
Okay, so it's like having a
Yeah.
of yourself.
It's like a map of your own inner world.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. Okay.
Multidimensional too.
Multidimensional, yeah.
Yeah.
Because the source mentioned two different types,
Oh, yeah.
like internal
Yes.
and external self-awareness. Can you kind of...
Yeah, so internal self-awareness is really about tuning into your own thoughts and feelings.
Mm-hmm.
So recognizing that you get stressed before giving presentations.
Okay. Yeah.
That would be internal self-awareness. External self-awareness is more about understanding how other people see you and how you impact them.
So like...
So let's say you're someone who tells a lot of jokes.
Uh-huh.
Right. Being externally self-aware
Yeah.
would mean kind of noticing if people are actually laughing at your jokes
Oh.
or if you know you're kind of bombing.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like two sides of the same coin, like knowing yourself on the inside,
Yeah.
but then also...
And how you come across to others.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
So that all sounds great in theory, but why
Why should we care?
should you care?
Yeah.
How does
Yeah.
being more self-aware actually help you in
Yeah.
your day-to-day life?
That's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
The benefits of self-awareness are actually incredibly practical.
Okay.
So take decision-making, for example.
Okay.
When you're self-aware, you're more likely to make choices
Hmm.
that are aligned with your values,
Hmm.
right? Vitality Vibes actually had a study that they quoted in their article
Mhm.
that found people who scored high in self-awareness were more satisfied
Whoa.
with their career choices 5 years later.
Wow. So like fewer of those.
Exactly. What if I had
Yeah.
done this? Or what if I had made that choice?
Less regret.
Okay. So better decision-making. What else?
So think about emotional intelligence.
Okay.
Self-awareness is actually like
Hmm.
the foundation of that because it helps you understand and manage your emotions instead of being controlled by them. And that can be a game changer at work, especially when things get stressful.
So it's like instead of,
Yeah.
having a meltdown,
Yeah.
if your project goes sideways,
Right.
you're able to be like, okay, I'm feeling this way,
You can take a step back, assess, make a plan.
and be strategic about it.
Exactly. You're turning what could be an emotional liability into an asset.
Okay.
And that same skill translates to relationships as well.
Okay.
Being aware of how you impact other people
Mhm.
helps you build trust, communicate more effectively.
So it's not just like you in isolation.
No.
It's about how you
Yeah.
interact with the world around you.
It's about your impact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is kind of blowing my mind. I'm starting to see why they called it a meta skill.
It really is. It's foundational.
Yeah.
And we haven't even talked about the benefits for stress management.
Oh, interesting.
When you know your triggers, the things that tend to kind of set you off,
Yeah.
you can actually plan for them.
Okay.
Like, for example, if you know that traffic makes you anxious, maybe you try listening to calming music during your commute.
Oh, that's so smart. I love that.
Ew. Yeah.
Okay, so better decisions, stronger relationships, managing stress. And I have to imagine it also has to help with...
Absolutely. It's like the starting point for any meaningful change you want to make in your life. It helps you set goals that actually resonate with who you are and what you want to achieve.
Okay, I am officially sold on the why. Now let's get to the how.
Yes, let's do it.
So the article mentioned some practical strategies.
Mm-hmm.
For actually boosting your self-awareness, what are some things that people can start doing
Yeah.
like today to get more in tune?
So one of the simplest yet most powerful strategies is self-reflection. Whether it's journaling for a few minutes each day,
Hmm.
taking a walk in nature to clear your head, or even just, dedicating some time to quiet contemplation. Carving out space for introspection is key.
I'm a big fan of journaling. It's like having a conversation
Right.
with yourself on paper.
Yeah.
But sometimes we need a little help seeing ourselves clearly.
Absolutely. And that's where seeking feedback comes in.
Ooh, feedback.
I know it can be intimidating,
They can be.
but asking trusted friends, family members, or colleagues
Yeah.
for honest feedback on your strengths and areas for improvement is so valuable.
It's like getting a reality check,
Yes.
but like in a supportive way.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I remember the source mentioning something called a personal SWOT analysis.
SWOT analysis.
That sounds a little
It does.
corporate-y. How does that work?
Well, it's actually really adaptable to personal growth.
Okay.
So SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And it's basically about honestly assessing where you stand in a particular area of your life.
So let's say someone wants to be
Yeah.
more assertive at work.
Okay.
Would their strengths be?
Yeah.
Things like being good at communicating their ideas.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
And their weakness might be, a fear of conflict or a tendency to people pleaser.
Yeah.
Opportunities could be things like upcoming projects where they can practice speaking up,
Okay.
and threats might be coworkers who tend to dominate meetings.
Wow. So you can actually kind of map it out.
You can map it out
Okay.
and have a plan.
I love that.
Yeah. And then, of course, there's mindfulness.
Okay.
We're going to dive into that a little bit more later. But it's essentially about paying attention to the present moment without judgment.
Okay. I'm sensing a theme here.
What's that?
It's all about slowing down,
Yes.
tuning in,
Absolutely.
and being more aware
Yes.
of what's happening,
Yeah.
both inside and outside of yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The more you practice it, the more natural it becomes. You start to see things that you never noticed before. And that's when the real magic happens.
It's so interesting how you know all of these strategies that we were talking about.
Yeah.
Self-reflection, feedback, even the SWOT analysis.
Yeah.
They all kind of point to this idea
Ah.
of slowing down and really examining our experiences.
Yeah, it's like we're so used to rushing through life
Yeah.
that we forget to actually pay attention to what's happening.
Exactly. And that kind of brings us to another powerful strategy
Okay.
that Vitality Vibes mentions in their piece, which is mindfulness. And don't worry, you don't have to become a meditation guru
Okay.
to benefit from this.
Good to know. But seriously, what is mindfulness? And how does that tie back into self-awareness?
Yeah, so mindfulness is really about being present in the moment
Okay.
without judgment. It's like hitting the pause button on your inner critic
Yeah.
and just noticing your thoughts, your feelings, and sensations as they are.
So, if I'm feeling anxious about an upcoming deadline,
Instead of like freaking out, I just acknowledge.
you just notice it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, okay, I'm feeling anxious right now.
Yeah.
And you might even notice the physical sensations that come with that anxiety.
Ugh.
Maybe your heart is racing or your palms are sweaty.
Yeah.
The key is to observe those sensations without getting swept away by them.
It's almost like becoming like a curious scientist,
Yes.
observing your own inner world.
I love that analogy. And the more you practice this, the more you realize that thoughts and feelings are like waves. They come and go.
Yeah,
They don't
yeah.
define you.
Okay, so how do you actually practice mindfulness?
Right.
Is it just sitting in silence and meditating?
So meditation is definitely one way to practice mindfulness.
Okay.
But you can also incorporate it into your everyday activities.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. You can practice mindful walking,
Okay.
mindful eating, even mindful dishwashing.
Wait, mindful dishwashing. How
Yeah.
do you even do that?
So instead of, rushing through it and thinking about a million other things, you really focus your attention on the sensations of the warm water, the soapy bubbles, the feel of the dishes in your hands.
So it's really about bringing your full attention.
Yes, it's about bringing your full presence to whatever you're doing.
Okay.
Even if it's something as mundane as washing dishes, you might be surprised at how grounding and calming it can be.
I'm going to try that.
Yeah.
Sounds like a great way to de-stress.
Yeah. And something else that Vitality Vibes highlights in their piece is this connection between self-awareness
Okay.
and setting boundaries
Ooh, boundary.
It's like you can't have one without the other.
Yeah, that's something I've been working on. Personally, it's tough. But I'm
It's
realizing
essential.
how important it is
Yeah.
for my well-being.
It really is. So self-awareness helps you understand what your limits are, like what you're comfortable with and
Uh,
what you're not.
So, for example, if a
Yeah.
friend is like constantly asking for favors
Uh-huh.
and I don't have time or it drains my energy, being self-aware means being able to recognize that and then actually say no.
Exactly. You're honoring your own needs
Huh.
and respecting your time.
Okay.
And it's not selfish. It's about setting healthy limits. So you can show up as your best self in all areas of your life.
Right. Like they say, you can't pour from an empty cup.
Exactly.
You have to take care of yourself
Yeah.
before you can take care of others.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And that's where self-awareness comes in. It helps you identify those situations where you might be overextending yourself
Hmm.
or compromising your own well-being.
Okay, so we've got self-reflection, seeking feedback, SWOT analysis, mindfulness, setting boundaries. That's a lot.
That is a lot.
But I'm starting to see how they all kind of fit together.
They really do. They complement each other.
Okay.
They're all part of this larger journey of getting to know yourself on a deeper level. And as you become more self-aware, you start to naturally make choices that are more aligned with your values.
Oh, speaking of values.
Yes.
I remember the source mentioned that. How do our values
Yeah.
tie into all this?
Yeah. So your values are really like
Yeah.
your guiding principles. They
Yeah.
represent what's most important to you in life.
Well-
Things like honesty, kindness, creativity,
Mm-hmm.
adventure, financial security, family. These are all examples of values.
So like those deep down
Yeah.
beliefs that shape how we see the world.
Exactly.
Okay. But how do you even know what your values are?
That's a great question. That's where that self-reflection piece comes in handy again.
Wow.
Think about times in your life when you felt really, truly happy, fulfilled, or proud. What was happening in those moments?
Okay.
What values were being honored or expressed?
So like if I felt
Yeah.
really proud after completing like a challenging project at work,
Yeah.
that might point to values like achievement,
Mm,
hard work, or maybe even creativity.
exactly.
Okay.
Or maybe you felt a deep sense of joy while spending time with loved ones.
Ah.
That could suggest values like family, connection, love.
This is making me realize that I haven't really like sat down and
Consciously, like, it's easy to do. We're often so busy living our lives that we don't pause to actually consider what truly drives us.
define my values.
Yeah.
It's like I've just taken them for granted.
But once you identify your core values, it's like this light bulb goes off.
Oh, yeah.
You start to see why certain choices feel good
Okay.
and others feel off.
Like if one of my core values is adventure,
Right.
it makes sense that I might feel restless and unfulfilled in a job that's like predictable and routine driven.
Exactly. Your values can be incredibly powerful in guiding your decisions and shaping your path.
This is eye-opening. It feels like we've only just scratched the surface of this whole self-awareness thing.
We have, and the more you explore it, the more fascinating it becomes. It's like this ongoing adventure of self-discovery.
I am ready to dive deeper. But before we do,
Yeah.
maybe we should take a moment to like recap what we've covered so far.
That's a great idea. So we talked about, the importance of self-awareness in this kind of complex world that we live in, how it can lead to better decisions, stronger relationships, and increased personal growth.
We've also explored some key strategies for actually boosting our self-awareness, like self-reflection,
Yeah.
seeking feedback from trusted sources,
Yeah.
that SWOT analysis technique,
Yeah.
practicing mindfulness in everyday life,
Yeah.
and setting healthy boundaries.
Right. And then we just started to touch on, the significance of identifying your core values and how those can inform your choices and help you create a life that feels more authentic and fulfilling.
This is so much good stuff. I can't wait to unpack even more. In the last part of our deep dive.
Have you got some more practical tips and insights coming up that I
Yeah.
think our listeners will really enjoy?
Okay, so we're back and ready to wrap up our deep dive into self-awareness. And before the break, we were talking about values.
Yes.
Those guiding principles.
Yes.
That really shape our choices and ultimately our lives.
They really are like a compass, pointing us toward a life that feels meaningful and aligned with who we are.
But Vitality Vibes also brings up something interesting.
Oh, what?
This idea that our values can sometimes be in conflict
Oh, yeah.
with each other.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I've never really thought about that. How can values be in conflict?
So imagine someone who values both family
Oh.
and career success.
Mm-hmm.
Those values are often in harmony. But what happens when a big promotion requires, longer hours.
Yeah.
Or even relocating, potentially taking time away from family.
That's a tough one.
Right. It's
And
like you're being pulled in two different directions.
Yeah, you're being pulled in different directions. And that's where I imagine
That's where self-awareness comes in.
self-awareness is so crucial, because recognizing those conflicting values
Yeah.
can help you make more conscious decisions instead of just reacting out of habit or pressure.
So it's about finding that
It's about finding that balance.
balance, right? Like maybe it means
Yeah,
negotiating a flexible work arrangement or
exactly.
prioritizing family time on the weekends, but making choices that honor both values as much as possible. I love that. It's not about choosing one value over the other. It's about finding creative solutions that align with
Okay.
your overall sense of self.
This is making me realize that self-awareness
Yeah.
isn't just about understanding ourselves in isolation.
No.
It's about understanding how we fit into the bigger picture
Yes.
of our lives,
Yes.
our relationships, even our work.
You hit the nail on the head. And that brings us to another key takeaway
Okay.
from the article. This idea that self-awareness is an ongoing process,
Okay.
not a destination.
It's not like you
You.
achieve peak self-awareness.
Right. There's no finish line. It's a journey of continuous learning and growth.
Okay. Experience new things, meet new people,
Yeah.
navigate different challenges. Your understanding of yourself just evolves.
Exactly. So it's about staying curious and open to new insights about yourself.
I love that. So for our listeners who are ready to embark on their own self-awareness journey,
Yes.
what's one practical tip that they can start implementing today?
If I had to choose just one, I would say start by setting aside a few minutes each day
Okay.
for self-reflection. It could be journaling, meditating, and taking a quiet walk, whatever helps you connect with your inner world.
So it's like scheduling that daily
Check in.
check-in with yourself.
Yeah.
And during those check-ins, ask yourself some simple but powerful questions.
Like what?
Like, how am I feeling right now? What's going well in my life? What's challenging me? What am I grateful for?
It's like shining a light on all those inner thoughts and feelings that we
Okay.
often brush aside.
And as you become more attuned to your inner world, you'll naturally start to see patterns, make connections, and gain a deeper understanding of what makes you tick.
This has been such an insightful conversation. I feel like I've gained a whole new appreciation for the power of self-awareness.
Me too.
Yeah.
It truly is a gift we can give ourselves. The gift of understanding, acceptance, and growth.
Well said. And on that note, it's time to wrap up our deep dive into self-awareness. Thank you for joining us on this journey of exploration. I hope you gained some valuable insights that you can apply to your own life.
Until next time, keep exploring that fascinating world within. You might be surprised by what you discover.